Chris Rock dropped a special on Netflix. It's the first ever live special from Netflix. It was called Selective Outrage. We'll get into it right after this. Selective Outrage by Chris Rock dropped 2023. Dropped Saturday night on Netflix. Like I said before, it was the first ever live special. And a lot of people were anticipating this because they wanted to see if he was going to talk about the slap all around the world, in which he did in the last 10 minutes. Upon hearing about the special, I was reluctant to hear it or watch it, but then again, I wanted to watch it for the simple fact I wanted to see if he was going to address the Will Smith situation. The reason I didn't want to watch it because I went and saw Chris Rock in person at Shays in Buffalo immediately, like after the slap. I don't know if you guys know his tour prices and all his shows booked up, and he added a show in Buffalo. It wasn't scheduled to be here, but it was, and I got the tickets quick. I was kind of mad I got the tickets because Dave Chappelle announced a tour that he will be doing his stand-up special, not his stand-up special, but he'll be coming into town immediately the day after Chris Rock. And he made it. He waited till it was enough time for people to get their Chris Rock tickets, and it sold out. Then he announced his, and I couldn't get no tickets for Dave Chappelle, and I was mad because I would have waited and just saw Dave Chappelle. Because if you watch the stand-up special, you'll know that it was okay. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the worst. It was okay. It was literally the same material that he said in the special as what he said at the show that I saw. And I know it's rare where comedians would change the material and bring something new, but I was just hoping that, you know, it would be something different. But you got to understand, these comedians, they come up, take time to make this material. They tore off a year or two off of this material, and then, you know, that's when they'll switch up and get a new routine. So I was expecting or hoping, but I didn't have my hopes up. Ironically as well, the same day that the special came on, I went to see Tony Rock, which is Chris Rock's younger brother, in person the same day. 7:30 show in Helium, or in Buffalo, New York. Tony Rock was on stage. I was sitting in front of him, and I was watching him. And I gotta say, he was 10 times funnier than Chris Rock. And I'm not saying that to be, you know, just to... I had no expectations of Tony Rock. I didn't think he was going to be that funny, and he exceeded my expectations. He was gut-busting, knee-slapping funny. Just good old nigga funny. And maybe that's why, you know, he knew his audience. He knew how to read the room. He said a couple of jokes I didn't like, which was in regards to Buffalo, New York, where we're from, because he's from New York. You know, we always had that feud. But other than that, I thought he was hilarious. He also shouted out his brother's special. He also mentioned the Will Smith stuff on stage at his show. So I'm like, okay, we in for a treat. Fast forward, get home, wind down, and we start watching the special. And immediately when I saw it was the same material, I was just like, okay, we in for this treat. I know what this is, blah, blah, blah. But I sat through it. I'm flicking in between because also the UFC's fight is on at this time too. But you know, UFC fights, they go on forever. So, anyway, watching the special, same old jokes. I'm like, cool. Then we get to the last part of it, which is what everybody wants to talk about, the Will Smith stuff. I thought he was pretty funny talking about Will Smith, especially when he says, you know, this guy played Muhammad Ali. I played Pookie and New Jack. You know, I thought that was, like, honest. You showing your vulnerability, but it was funny at the same time. You know, he showed how they had a big size difference about why he didn't do anything. They said, yo, why didn't you do anything? Man, I don't know if you've seen him, but Will Smith is, like, huge. You know, that was his reasoning for not doing nothing. Then he also said, you know, he was told not to fight in front of white people, which I thought was kind of corny. Like, I don't know. I never got told that growing up. Yo, don't be fighting in front of white people. It's just like, yo, if somebody hits you, you hit their ass back. But he was doing it to be funny. I get it. He had a couple jokes in there that landed. He messed up a good one, the concussion joke. If that was done correctly the first time, I feel like it would have had more of an impact on the set that he was doing. But he messed that up, and you know, it didn't come off how it was supposed to come off. You know, he tried to rebound, but it didn't. My gripes with this is the name calling, the calling of the bitches. He did call Jada some bitches, but he was calling Will Smith a bitch. He was saying Will Smith had selective outrage. He said Will Smith took his anger out on him. He didn't hit the guy who's talking about. Listen, we don't know if Will Smith beat up August Alsina or did anything. That's something we would never know behind the scenes what happened. A lot of people give Will flack situation for that entanglement BS, but nobody has anything to say about August Alsina in regards to that. This was the simp of a man who decided to come out and expose this. Will Smith, the confines of his marriage are his marriage. Once it got made public, they could have did two things: denied it or owned it. They decided to own it. Well, if they didn't own it, they decided to have a discussion. I probably wouldn't have did it, but this is something they wanted to do, I guess, to kind of let you inside their marriage, show some vulnerability, show how adults maybe handle things. It just didn't come off how I think they interpreted it in their head, but whatever. Everything came to jokes. They had to take it in the chin. Yes, I think Will Smith, probably was upset, but then Chris Rock just going in at his wife at that moment, I think just ticked something off, and he decided to make a decision that I'm pretty sure he regrets. Whatever. But my gripe is Chris Rock, in that moment, when Will Smith assaulted you, I commend you for remaining professional, which is great. I commend you from keeping the show for going on. That's great. That's things you should do if you're going to react that way. If you're not confrontational, but don't start saying on your stand-up all of a sudden he's a bitch or he's this when you couldn't say none of that to his face as a man. And I'm not talking about on a professional level. I'm just talking about as a man. Don't act tough. Oh, he's a bitch. Everybody's saying he's a bitch, and then all of a sudden you say, yeah, he is a bitch. But he wasn't a bitch when he took his fucking hand and rubbed it across your face really hard. It was, oh, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. Oh. That's the shit. That's the corny shit I don't like. Don't grow some balls a year later or a sack a year later. I understand he getting this shit off his chest. This is his therapy. Keep it to the jokes. Win the people over with the wit. When you start doing that, oh, he's a bitch and, he's da-da-da this. It's just like, yo, you had none of this energy when you got assaulted. So that's my only gripe with that part of the special. And yes, he was calling Jada a bitch as well. And it's like, yo, that's going to bring you back to point one. That's going to cause you to get smacked again by disrespecting somebody's wife. Whether you agree, disagree with how it was handled, what she did, if you think she had any involvement, she didn't go up there and smack you. Will did. Keep all your energy towards the husband. It's no reason to chastise Jada or whatever. You know what I mean? That's just my two takes on it. I think this already been a little long-winded or more than what it should have been. Other than that, decent stand-up special was okay. If I had to rate it out of 5 mics, I probably would give it a 2.5. That's just my honest opinion, and that's not bad. That's okay. That's how I do that's how I do my mic rating system. So post your comments below. I want to know what you guys think about this. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And do you think Chris Rock was justified, or do you think he got his point across? Are we done with it? Does he move on from here, or is the next special going to be hour long about this situation? We'll see. Post your comments below. Thanks.